video, I said I was going to put this entire outfit together in one video. That did not happen. So this has a cute little shrug and a hat that goes with the spaceship dress. The hat is perpetually wrinkled. I can't press it. I don't have like a mannequin or anything to put it on, so it's just perpetually wrinkled. And then the shrug, this was a very simple shrug like I believed it would be. Of course, baby sleeves are really, really hard to do. But I love how it turned out as a whole. I feel like this would make a child very happy to wear, or at least see pictures of them wearing. So we're going to jump into this process. Everything is 100% cotton, but you can replace materials with something that's more expensive, or at least a little more fancy. Next part of this is the hat. So there's 8 pieces of these two, and then 4 of this one, because you're supposed to sandwich side, front, back, side. And then you're supposed to sew them together and then press them with an iron so that they make that nice ball cap shape. One is the inside, one is the outside, and one is the lining. And then there's also the brim. The brim is going to have one side that's just regular cotton, and then the other side is going to be interfaced. So I'm going to continue with these until I have 4 of these. And I didn't clip these because of the fact I did a very narrow hem, and I was going to have to sew them anyway. And if you look, it's just about perfect for the brim. So, I'm going to get these done and then show you progress. Red jacket that's supposed to go with the space outfit. So to sew it together, I'm going to sew both parts of the sleeve on both sides. I know it's hard to say when it's red on red. And I'm going to do that for the outside and the lining, which is just the same red fabric. When I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and flip it inside out, top stitch all the way around except for the sleeves, and then I'm going to sew it, and then I'm going to turn it, top stitch it. This should be a pretty short video because it's baby stuff, but I have been wrong before. Might come as a surprise for anybody who's not been in my class, but this is my Husqvarna. I already had red thread in it, and I figured since I had only a tiny spool of red, there was no point in me switching not switching machines, because I had used this red for the Christmas doll outfit, as I accidentally touched my pad. So here is this shrug. So we're going to sew the top half of the sleeve. Do not forget to backstitch. And this color is just not turning out visible. My seams do not come out as perfect with the on the machine when I'm sewing through a camera, so I apologize. Maybe if my pedal wasn't locked onto the floor, move this closer, get a better overhead view. There we go. That might work. That might work a lot better, actually. And Jarvis is playing at my feet. So forward, back, forward. And the distinct difference between this and the Jubilant is that on the Jubilant, it will stop with the needle down. So if I want the needle down, I have to half press on my pedal to make it do that. But it also means I don't have to press a button to make the pedal go up at the end of my stitch, or at the end of my rope. So, on this underarm curve, you need to snip the curve in that space between the edge of the fabric and the seam. Do not clip the seam, you will not have a good time. Okay. See? It will make it open up more when it's flipped inside out. So I'm going to flip this one right side out, because then I need to sew the neckline, the shoulder. Basically, a good portion of this needs to be sewn together in the next step. Jarvis is playing with shipping bubbles because that's how he rolls. Kittens, am I right? Okay. So when you do this, you want to feed right sides together through here. And then you want to stitch this entire neckline. Wooden bowls for pins. If anyone has attended my class, they know that in class we use salsa bowls, like the ones that you would get at a restaurant. Because for a long time that's what I used. And then my aunt generously gave me a bunch of little wooden bowls. Actually, there was a lot of sized wooden bowls. The little ones tend to be my pin bowls. So I have little wooden bowls all over my house, and 90% of them are holding something. Like I have one, a tiny one in my sewing room that has hair ties in it. Okay, so I matched up all the seams and pinned them. Now I'm going in between each seam and matching the curves or the straight lines and pinning those. I think this was another, almost ran out of material, because I did not expect the hat that goes with this to have needed as much material as it did. Because this is the same red that I used on the frog dress. So, other lapel. Other lapel. My kitten is just apparently needs a laser pointer for like 10 minutes to exhaust him, because he's just running around my living room right now and attacking everything. Ah, don't! Oh, well, those are going to fall. And they fell. And now he's trying to get into them. It's a good thing they're just empty. Okay, so because this is going to be easily turned inside out through the sleeve, I do not have to leave an opening. So I'm just going to knit it or sew it like I would a circle. Tripods are the best when they're easy adjustable. Move that bowl out of my way, because I actually have a container on the other side to collect my pins. Redundant? I don't think so. So just sew around the curves. You're going to have to clip these again before you turn it inside out. If it does look like I am gently getting nicked by the pointy bits, I am. But they're very gentle pressure to remind me that there is a pin there, so I don't forget to pull it out. So at this point you also could have, before you sewed the seam, put in a trim or a ruffle or something. I chose not to do that because I want this to be a very basic shrug. because that spaceship dress it goes with is so loud that I want it to be a cohesive outfit. And as much as I love lace and lace trim on everything, it doesn't belong on everything. Granted, my poor children will probably be well acquainted with lace because I just love it that much. Okay, forward and overlap, back stitch, forward, needle is up, so I just have to pull it off and clip. Okay, so I'm going to clip the curves around what I just sewed, and then I'm going to turn it inside out and pin it so you can see that. For anyone who thinks that I am not well acquainted with my seam ripper, they'd be wrong. So actually, I needed a hole at the bottom of the jacket in order to turn this inside out, and this is when Jarvis decides to play with this tinsel pom-pom at my feet. So I had to do seam rip a little bit in order to turn this inside out. Now here is 1/2 and a sleeve. I'm going to have to turn the sleeve inside and then stitch it. And then I'm also going to have to top stitch the entire seam that I just did. So I'm going to pin everything and then I will see you down at the sewing machine. Alright, tiny baby things. So I have pushed out this seam all the way out and then pinned it so that I could top stitch it. This sleeve, oh, I'm not going to film me sewing these sleeves because I know that it's going to be a pain because baby sleeves are always giving me trouble. So in order to show how I did it, right? So push your sleeves all the way out, right? Make sure your inner sleeve and your outer sleeve are all the way out. Okay. Now fold down the same amount towards each other and then pinch. It's much harder to do this with one hand on the opposite side, but trust me, it is worth it. So when you fold down the other side and pinch it together, as you can see, you know what? You can pinch it or you can pin it. Tiny baby sleeves. This outfit better be worth it. It will be. I know it will because I already have the spaceship dress on and it's so cute. Okay, so fold again towards each other and pinch. And now I have this pin stabbing me. And then just pull toward, and then just grab each end and kind of nudge it towards each other. This will force the other halves to fold down in the same amount in between both stitches, or both seams that you folded down. And then I pin this. Key is in order for this method to work, you have to have straight seams and they have to be the same size, which apparently this inner lining one is not, so it is giving me a little bit of trouble. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then pin. When you sew this, you just top stitch it like you would the rest of the shrug. I'm not going to film this because I know that I'm going to have a hard time with it and I don't want to make it worse by, you know, trying to have a camera in the way. But I will show you top stitching with the rest of the shrug. So I start in the back when I have a choice because it's less likely to be noticeable. You can also start at the armpit, but in this particular case there is a curve starting right there. So I sew on the edge in a circle for this one. Sometimes you have to backstitch when you start. This particular one I backstitch at the end. Not going to be 100% even, but there's a camera in my face. Okay, now this is when slow and steady. I have speed control on this, so I'm just going to turn down the speed. highly recommend having speed control on your machine if you have a personal machine. The Jubilance, I made sure for the library had speed control, because I know for beginners it is so much easier to be able to go slow even when you're pressing the pedal to the metal. Or the carpet in my case. And this is when the curve goes the other direction. At the same time, if you didn't already put a trim on and you wanted one, you could sew it as you top stitch. I do that frequently. So it is an option. I'm just opting for no trim on this. Almost got a pinned sleeve to the face. Okay, don't forget to trim your threads before you start backstitching. Makes it less likely to get caught into the machine. And word to the wise, you will probably get poked by the sleeves as you sew. So, alright, then there is my shrug, except for the sleeves, which honestly I will just sew those off camera and you will have seen them again in the beginning of this video. So this is the shrug, very simple shrug. There's 1, 2, 3, or actually 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seams. It is very quick. It took me no more than half an hour to make. So I'm going to go ahead and do the sleeves off camera because, yeah, that baby sleeves are not my favorite and I don't like hand stitching either. So I have this ready to go. I do not have the third triangle pinned at the top, but I start at the bottom, go forward, go back, my red thread is really getting a workout today. Snip, snip. Okay, then pin the top back together for the second one. I always find it easier to start at the hem and then go to the pointy bit because it's much easier than starting at the point. I thought you didn't sew when I didn't put that foot down. I don't know what you were just doing. And then up to the point. And then there you go. Always remember to backstitch. Alright, here we go. Perfect. So I'm going to move us to the ironing board and we're going to iron. I totally forgot to film the part where I did the brim, but it's just a straight stitch where you backstitch back and forth. So I already pressed the shrug, which I'm just going to put onto the hanger with its dress, and isn't that so cute? Oh my gosh, so cute. So one part of our outfit, or two parts of our three-piece outfit is done for the spaceship. Okay, so my iron is getting hot. So what happened with this is that I thought I had filmed it, but I apparently had not. This is fusible interfacing, so I had pressed, or, not pressed, thought I had filmed me ironing this on, but apparently it did not start, and I didn't notice until I was already done. And you do not want to continue ironing something that's already ironed, because sometimes bad things happen. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing the seam flat on both brims. And I also forgot to film that, but oh well. Pressing it flat will make it so that it behaves a lot nicer for me. So just press, steam, off. And this brim is ready to be pinned and sewn to this one. Put that over there. Okay. Press, steam, done. Okay, same with that one. Okay, so for these ones, which is both the top and the lining, you want to press it with the seams not towards you, because it doesn't really matter what the seams on the inside looks like as long as it's pressed and playing nicely on the outside. So I start gently just opening up that seam and then working my way up. And then that seam is now laying nicely. Repeat for each one. When I get to the hat portion, when I get to the next part, I'm going to go ahead and put pins on the backs of each each part of the hat, so I can remember where the back is when I'm done. Alright, I'm going to continue pressing. Okay, so I'm placing the pin in basically what will be the back panel, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew these two together. And same process as before, and then I'm going to, well, kind of the same process actually. So I'm going to start right here, put a pin, then I'm going to match up the tops and put in a pin this direction, and then I'm going to match here. So, in theory, as I sew in a circle, or in a semicircle, the hat will be finished. Okay, so this is one. I'll repeat it for the other one. Right sides together, matching the two seams. I'm going to sew the outer brim of the outer part of the brim. Match it up. It should match pretty perfectly. And then just go around, pin, and then sew. Is it redundant that I'm pinning? Probably. Okay, so now move to the machine. Long tables for the win. Okay. Make sure your threads are out enough. So because this is just going to be flipped, I can just sew the brim in a circle. So I do not need to backstitch when I start. I will need to clip the edges before I do turn it inside out though. Or clip the curves. Alright, clip that edge, and then I'm done. And then I need to top stitch. Okay. Hat. Forward, back, forward. Okay. Keeping the same seam allowance as before. I'm not a fan of that pen. Okay. And then I'm going to take this to the iron and press. Same way that I did before, just pressing out the seams. This will be my top, or the outside of my hat. It's about a good fist-sized hat. Press it, do the same for the lining, and then I will show you how I top stitch the brim. So, my camera cut out. I top stitched the outside of the brim. What I'm doing right now is a very narrow stay stitch, which is almost like a top stitch. But what I'm doing is connecting these two layers together so that they do not drift apart while I'm sewing. This is a very good technique. I admittedly do not take advantage of it as much as I should. You do not have to worry about backstitching. It's just when you're worried about whether or not you're going to be capable of hiding the stitches, then avoid it. So the brim is ready to go. I need to finish the lining, and then I will show you how to attach the brim to the outside in order to finish the last two seams of the hat. Okay, so sewing on a curve is incredibly difficult. Because what you want to do is make sure that the brim of the hat meets carefully. So I've done my best on what I can of this, because you have to have the part that isn't getting as curved on the outside, which means that there's going to be a little bit of gathering, because I feel like the hat cap is actually slightly too big. Which is okay. Probably I made my seams too small, which made the cap not fit as perfectly as it could, which is fine. I folded this in quarters. It's evenly divided. And now I just sew this okay. So now I'm going to take the pins out, and then all I have to do is actually put the lining on, which will obviously match the inside much better than the brim does, and then I need to leave a hole but also clip it so I can turn it inside out. Yeah. definitely not my favorite thing to do because I am getting pokey-stabbied everywhere. But it'll look so good when I'm done with the outfit. I don't make hats as a general rule because I feel like you can, as much as I'm not a supporter of fast fashion, because I feel like you should make as much as you can. Isn't that so cute? This color does not come out on this camera whatsoever. I'm gonna hope that when when you saw it in the beginning, you know what, I'll just take a really good photo and have that edited in, because this is not doing this color any justice. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lining layer on, which still has its pin so that I know where the back of it is to go on the seam. It will take a little bit of finagling because you have to match this up, at least initially. To here. And then just make sure that the brim is pushed all the way down so it does not get caught in your seam, which is going to be a little difficult, admittedly. Alright, I will be back when I can make it behave. It would be helpful if I recorded. Okay, so this is the center back where they match, and then I went around and I only matched where the seams are. So there's a little bit of that ruching here as well, but I feel like once I do this seam and I do the clip the curve before I turn it inside out, it's gonna lay a lot nicer. So I'm gonna move to right here. Let's not be on the machine because this will vibrate. The flattest part is actually at the center back. So I'm just going to leave a small hole right there. Ooh, I actually meant to leave a much larger seam this time. You know, I ran over it before and it didn't hurt anything, but apparently that's not going to be the rest of this time. Okay. Much larger seam. Probably going to be some ruching and such as I go over the seams, but that's okay. This is meant just to be a cute little sun hat. And you can feel things misbehaving under your fingers. There we go. Okay. Hook this thread. Get what's left of that broken pin out. And then just go around clipping so that the brim stays nice and neat when we flip it inside out. Very messy seam, but it will have to do. Okay. And this is the part where I'm probably going to wish that I left a much larger hole, but top the other side out. Be right back. So it would be helpful if my camera would not stop just dying in the middle of a film. So I went around and I sewed right where that seam was on the inside, so it also closes it, because it's very, very messy. I feel like this hat just needs to be wetted down, but isn't it so cute? Oh my gosh. It of course won't lay flat, because like the brim wouldn't lay flat earlier either. But it's just a really cute sun hat. You can decorate it. It's done right now. I backstitched at the very back of the hat, so very cute. Just needs a little bit of de-wrinkling now. But this is done. Yay! Another Jarvis kitten tax. If you like videos like this and would like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. And you'll also get some more of the kitten.